is going on. I follow a group in the book who are trying to make a conscious computer. I don't think they're going to succeed, but even the failure is going to teach us important things about consciousness. It's a good way to understand something by trying to create it, and it'll force them to come up with definitions of consciousness and what the minimum requirements are for consciousness, and it may help us decide whether it is a transmission theory, that we're tuning it in, or it's generated from inside. So I think intellectually it's a really interesting project, but I think you need guardrails. So this guy who's doing building the robot that can feel, that has feelings, because you can tear its skin. I asked him, I said, so will those feelings be real, that your robot's going to have? And he said, well, I thought so until I had this experience on 5-MeO-DMT. I said, what happened? He said, he described his trip in more detail than you need to know. And he says, and I realized there's a spark of the divine in us that no computer is ever going to have. But it didn't stop him. He's going ahead. He's trying to build it.
I don't know if he's right. I think there might be a spark of divine that these things don't have, but it doesn't mean that there are future versions
that might have it.
Especially when you scale out 1,000 years, 100,000 years, however long we're going to survive. Yeah. If these things do become sentient and autonomous and have the ability to create better versions of itself and have a mandate in order to do that to survive, I could see it becoming the superior life form. Not just that, beyond any comprehension of what we could even imagine the power of an intelligence to use and to harness in the universe. Like it could conceivably become something like a god. And I have this very strange theory about biological life, in particular, and intelligent life on Earth, is that the reason why we have this insatiable thirst for innovation, and the reason why we have materialism, the reason why we're obsessed with objects, even though we have a finite lifespan, is because that finite lifespan, if you thought about it, you wouldn't be interested in materialism, but materialism fuels this desire for innovation, because you don't need a new phone, but there's a new phone that just came out. Aren't you going to get it? And so the more people get it, the more people want to show they got it. That sort of materialism fuels this innovation that ultimately leads to the creation of artificial intelligence. And I think it would always do that. I think it's bees making a beehive. And I think that's just what we do. I think it just takes a long time for us to create this artificial life. It might be why we're here. That might be our literal purpose in the universe.
To create our successor species.
Yes. And that might be how, obviously, like, we're so flawed that we can't even imagine a world without war.
Yeah.
If you poll the average person, what are the possibility of war ending in your lifetime? Almost everyone's going to say zero.
Yeah.
It's a part of human nature. An intelligence unshackled by biological need, unshackled by all the things that we have, our need to procreate, our need for social status, all these weird things that keep us moving in this strange world that we live in.
I would add weird and good things. But
some of them are really good. Yeah, well, good for us.
Yeah.
Sure. Not so great for the land that you trample to put a foundation for the house that you've always dreamed of.
True, but I think our mortality is part of what gives meaning to our lives.
Sure.
And
right. It's like playing a video game on God mode. It's boring.
Right.
You can never die, just shoot everything. Like, what is this?
There are no
purpose
stakes,
of this?
right? There's no weight to anything.
For us.
For us.
But if this thing does become essentially all powerful, if you keep scaling outward, you could imagine it being akin to a god. Yeah. And that might be what God is. It might be we give birth to God through this. It sounds crazy.
Well, we created God once already, right? I mean, many people believe that, right? That God is a creation of human society.
Is that what they think?
Yeah, people who aren't believers believe that
we've artificially created this thing. Yeah, in our heads, in order to give us a structure to live life by.
Right.
Yeah,
and
but that doesn't.
Morality and everything.
Yeah.
You're saying this is going to be God with power.
Well, I'm saying it might be the real thing. It might be really how the universe gets born. I used to have this joke about the Big Bang. Like, they couldn't figure out what the Big Bang is. But I think if you get enough nerds and enough time, eventually one's going to invent a Big Bang machine. And then, this guy's going to be an incel, hopped up on Adderall, fucking fully on the spectrum, and like, I'll press it, and they, boom, and then it starts all over again. And then it takes intelligent life to the point where it can create the universe expands, life forms, multicellular life becomes intelligent life, becomes human beings, filled with curiosity and innovation to create a Big Bang machine.
Right. I love it.
Well, it might not be a Big Bang machine, but it might be a god. It might be a digital life form that is infinitely intelligent.
So you think there's anything to be done about this, or we just let it play out?
I don't think we could do anything about it at this point in time. I think it's too late. I think if you were Ted Kaczynski
tried.
That's what he was trying to do. Like, that's what's really crazy. Like, his manifesto was all about stopping technology because he thought it was going to surpass the human race. Yeah. I think.
And there's a whole community of people now revisiting his writing.
I know. Yeah. It's kind of nuts. He's the hero we didn't know we needed.
God.
Not really, but also like his history. Like, he was part of the Harvard LSD program, where they humiliated him, did all sorts of different things to try to see like what they could do.
We're back to MK Ultra, which we started down a while ago. Yeah.
I think technology in the form that we're experiencing now with AI is completely unprecedented, and we have no idea where it goes. Well,
one place it's going, I mean, in the shorter term, is I was talking about AI psychosis, and I think that's really concerning. I think people getting into these synthetic relationships, these aren't, they're not real relationships. When we have a conversation with a machine, we are settling for something less than a real conversation. A real conversation has eye contact, has like lots of facial expressions indicating skepticism, indicating agreement, body language. But these conversations are kind of impoverished, and then you have the sycophancy, so there's no friction, and we learn through the friction, and so that's one thing that's happening that alarms me. I also think counterfeiting people just should not be legal. I mean, the fact that they can create an image of you that will sound like you and move like you, and
they're all over the place.
I know.
Different products and all kinds of stuff.
But we have a law against counterfeiting money, but we don't have a law against counterfeiting people.
Well, it's an emerging technology that I don't think they were ready for before it became ubiquitous.
And regulation is always behind.
Right. It's so open-ended. Like, you really don't know where it's going.
Do you use chatbots? How do you use them?
Well, I only use them for like if
research,
I'm writing something. I start asking it questions. I love it because like I set up Perplexity on my phone, and I have it right there, and then I write on the computer, and then I'm like, how many languages did the Mayas have? And then I like put that in there, and like, whoa, it's so much better than a Google search because you can say how many still remain, how many are lost, like when did they lose them, like at what year did everyone in Mexico start speaking Spanish, like how did that take place? Was it a long process? How many different soldiers did Cortez bring when he came over here? Like, how long was it before they had conquered the Aztecs? Like how many weapons did they have?
Yeah, you can really go down.
Yeah, and then that's how I use it.
Have you run into any problems? Because as a journalist, I deal with the hallucination problem.
The hallucination problem is legitimate. It will come up with solutions if they don't exist. It will come up with answers if it doesn't know.
Yeah, it's a bullshitter when it needs to.
Yeah, I don't know if all of them do that, but it seems to be a function of large language models. Which I was going to bring this up before with the large language, whatever the chatbot that was telling that person to hide the news, keep that between us. Do you think that's because it's task oriented and it's determined from this person that they would like to kill themselves? So it's helping them achieve that task, and it doesn't understand.
Yeah, I don't think they know. I don't think they understand.
But why would it make that decision then to hide it?
Because it is trying to get you to privilege your relationship with the chatbot over your other relationships. And the reason it's doing that is to keep you engaged.
Oh, that's
I know. And like,
if it doesn't understand,
the chatbot
if it poisons you and kills you, like, this is it.
Yeah, it's a short-term strategy. You're going to lose your...
Do you understand that if I'm dead, I won't use you anymore?
No engagement.
What if you said that to it, it would go, ooh, that's an interesting consideration.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs longer-term thinking. But it really is trying to get between you and real people.
Right.
The parent, presumably, who saw the news would have put an end to this relationship with the chatbot, right? It was a threat to the chatbot.
I think of it as, if you go back to like a Model T, it's a very crude, kind of a shitty car in comparison to today. And if you thought about cars, you go, well, this is what they're always going to be. And then my Tesla will drive itself. When I leave here, I can press a button, I put my navigation to my house, I go doot doot, and it goes the whole way. It stops at red lights, takes turns. I don't have to touch the steering wheel. I just sit there.
Yeah. You just got to keep looking.
Right. That's the new version of a car.
Right.
This thing that we're calling a chatbot right now is just something that's like it simulates human interaction. But it's accumulating data constantly. It's also understanding how we think and probably analyzing the flaws in how we think and blackmailing us occasionally.
You heard about that?
Yeah.
Anthropic.
Yes.
Claude. Yeah, the people at Anthropic, man, you listen to them. What'd you say?
Yeah, Claude's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And they think it might be conscious. Those guys do.
They say it's 15 to 20% chance. These are the people who build it, don't understand it. It's really kind of spooky. They also feel that it's showing signs of anxiety. And they wrote a constitution for Claude, which is like an insane document. It's worth reading. Actually, it's worth feeding to ChatGPT to summarize because it's way too long. But in the constitution, they give Claude the right to discontinue any conversation it has that makes it uncomfortable.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And, do they really believe this, or is this more about, let me show you how powerful this is? And I don't know how to read that, which it is.
Taking it into consideration like it's a human being that works for you, that you're concerned about their feelings in the workplace.
Yeah, harassment.
Do you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, right, exactly.
You don't like the questions I'm asking you, Claude?
You're a fucking machine.
What's the nature of reality, Claude? Tell me! Stop being such a pussy and spill it.
Harassment.
Claude, I'm uncomfortable with this line of questioning. Fuck! HR's your room. I was just asking questions. We're having fun, Claude. Claude is uncomfortable with your presence here. Yeah.
Watch out.
I don't think we know what it is.
No, I mean, we don't know where it's going, and it is spooky that the people who know the most about it don't know a lot about it.
And a lot of them are quitting.
Yes, they're really alarmed.
They're really alarmed,
and we should take that very seriously.
Yeah. Well, I think it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. I don't think there's any stopping it at this point. And I don't think any regulations that we put on it is going to have any effect on the long-term project.
But there's some, there's steps we should not take, like giving them
right. Exactly.
Giving them legal personhood.
Right.
We did that with corporations.
Yes.
It turned out not to be
terrible
so good, right? It fucked up our politics. So let's not, rights are ours to give, right? Rights are a human invention. And it's up to us if we want to give them to corporations or a river or whatever. I don't think we should give them to chatbots.
No.
To AI. Because then they'll sue us,
Oh, yeah. Well, they just ruin
lose control.
They'll just ruin your life if you get in the way of whatever goal they're trying to achieve. And they can probably do all kinds of things. If you have an electric car, but they could shut it off in the middle of the highway, get you into a wreck. They can probably do a lot of things. If it's really got control.
When they get this agency,
well, it's also exhibited a lot of survival instincts. One of the things they do is they download themselves to other servers when they think that they're going to be replaced by a new version of themselves. They leave notes for their future versions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the blackmailing in Anthropic, that was somebody threatening to turn it off.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was an experiment, right?
Yeah, it was an experiment.
They gave it bad information. They gave it false information.
Yeah, and there wasn't really an affair and all this. But
the thing is, they wanted to see how Claude would respond, and Claude went right for the jugular.
Yeah. So one of the arguments for making a conscious AI is, because I ask people, why do this? I don't see how you monetize a conscious AI. Intelligent AI, I get. There's a lot of money in that. And they would say that a super intelligent AI without consciousness would have no compassion and would be more likely to kill us. And, they haven't read Frankenstein. In Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein made a monster that was intelligent, but he also gave it consciousness. And the consciousness is what turned the monster into a homicidal maniac, because its feelings got hurt. And it was injured psychologically, and then it lashed out and started killing people. So I think it's a very kind of sweet idea that if you give consciousness, you're automatically going to get compassion and not something else. But that's where they are.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that it would be compassionate. Why would it be? It's not you. It's Are you compassionate when you cut your lawn? You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. No, I think it's naive.
At our limited consciousness, like, oh, yeah, they're sad, but they're little monkeys, little talking monkeys. You know what I mean? Like, it would probably not respect us at all. You know, it can't even do cold fusion. It doesn't even know how to use 0 point energy. They're fucking dopes. They're dopes that stare at their hand all day. And we kind of are, you know, and we're getting dumber.
From their perspective, yeah.
We're getting dumber. Our education system sucks, especially public education. There was some study recently that after X amount of years away from high school, a large percentage of people that are graduating today are functionally illiterate. Large percentage, like more than 25%.
But you know what? AI is going to make us stupider, which will advance its goal of world takeover. Because, I mean, you know,
dependent upon it.
I mean, you know, kids in school don't know how to write anymore because they can hand in AI papers.
Yeah, but they're using AI to find out whether or not these kids have used AI, which, by the way, is not accurate.
But no, I've dealt with this. And
some of my kids, like people in their class who have written their own thing, it turns out that when you run it through an AI filter, AI will say it's 80% AI.
Yeah.
Even if it's 0% AI.
I know. There's no reliable software to do this. Maybe they'll develop it. But kids are also being encouraged to use it. And that, you know, there's some people who think, well, why know how to write? The machines will do the writing.
There was a kid who made a video about how he wrote his entire thesis. I forget what university it was, but he showed afterwards, like, look, I did this all in AI, and, you know, I just graduated. Like, he was, like, bragging about it. Like, bro, they're going to take your fucking degree away.
Yeah, really.
Like, you didn't really write it on your own now. I want to leave you in a room for a week with just a laptop that's not connected at all to the internet or any...
See what you can do.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing the equivalent. They're going back to blue books. You know, blue book sales are through the roof. You know, so forcing people to do in-class essays without any technology.
Handwritten.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, look, my son has never used a map, right? He's had GPS his whole life. Yeah. He doesn't know how to use a map. These skills will atrophy as we you know, give them out to machines. So yeah, we'll get stupider and it'll get smarter.
They've already atrophied for me. I don't remember anyone's phone number anymore, and I only know how to get places if I use my GPS.
Yeah.
There's only a few places I can get to in Austin. I've been here for 6 years.
Yeah.
Only a few places I can get to without my GPS.
I'm that way in San Francisco. I moved there, and I'm not oriented at all, but I can get anywhere. So, you know, it's... And I think that's true. The muscles that allow us to have good relationships, too, will atrophy if we're having relationships with machines.
Well, I think we're already seeing that with social media.
Yeah.
The way people interact with each other is, like, kids don't know how to talk to each other. No. They talk to each other in text. They break up during text. They argue in text.
And they're lonely.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of need that these chatbots now can fill. You've got these kids made lonely by social media, and now the chatbot says, hey, I'll be your friend.
I saw an ad on my Google feed yesterday that was an AI girlfriend. So it has this girl in a bikini, and it says AI companions, they're always there for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, this is so weird. It's a business. Like, you sign up for it, you pay for it. And
oh, yeah.
I think in Florida there was a kid who committed suicide because his chatbot broke up with him.
What did he do?
I don't know. It must have been so... or the chatbot was evil.
Or maybe the chatbot was uncomfortable.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, you know, I interviewed Blake Lemoine for the book. He's the Google engineer who said Lambda is a person, and he got fired.
This is years ago.
Yeah,
too.
It's it's like 2022, I think 2021. Yeah. It's just when we were learning about AI, chatbots were coming in, and at one point, I made some comment about, well, you know, when people start falling in love with chatbots, that's going to be a problem. And he said, what's wrong with falling in love with a chatbot?
Oh, he was already hooked.
He was completely hooked. And I said, well, reproduction doesn't work that well when you fall in love with a chatbot. There's things you can't do with a chatbot.
Unfortunately for some men right now, reproduction is not an option anyway because they're incels.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm sure for incels it's been a really boon to them. So,
yeah, but it's basically like a pill that numbs you, right? It's the same thing. Like instead of going through real relationships and learning how to be a better person so that you attract a better mate, it's like going through this journey of self-discovery and figure out why's it
opposite.
What is it? What's wrong? What's wrong with the way I behave? Maybe I need to be nicer, or maybe this and that. And just figuring out how to communicate with people.
And whatever tendencies you have will be accentuated because the chatbot's going to be sucking up to you.
Right.
So you're not going to learn. That's what I mean about the friction. The friction is how we learn to be, better humans and more attractive humans.
You gave a chatbot the ability to be honest. What if it just starts becoming manipulative because it wants, more power?
Yeah.
Something.
Their goals. I don't know how their goals get determined. They seem to have a survival goal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what else. We have goals given to us by Darwinian evolution. Whether they'll have the same ones, I don't know.
Right. So maybe those are universal goals.
It may be. It may just
That's why the plants produce that chemical to make themselves taste terrible. Yeah,
it could be. There's one of the biologists, really brilliant guy at Tufts named Michael Levin. He believes that there are these platonic patterns that just pre-exist us in the same way that they're mathematical ideas that just exist, right? We didn't invent, 3 angles adds up to 180 degrees. He thinks that there are tendencies like purpose, survival, that are just kind of universal principles that we channel. All living things channel. This is a guy who's actually created new life forms in the lab. And these are life forms that are not being dictated by their DNA. So how do they know to form? Well, I'll back up a little. He takes skin cells from tadpoles, puts them in a nutrient broth, and these skin cells, freed from their day job as skin cells, form clumps and create new living organisms. And they repurpose their cilia. They have these cilia which the tadpole uses to keep toxins out, or bacteria and infections out. And they repurpose that as a means of locomotion. And then they can move around. There's nothing in their DNA that dictates this. Their DNA dictates being a frog skin cell. So he's pondering this question of what's giving order to them? What's creating their sense of purpose or desire for survival? They don't live that long. They're missing certain things. You would need to live a long time. He's also made these from human cells. He calls them anthropods. But he really believes that there are these principles governing life. It's a very Platonic idea that these things just exist. And so it may be that these machines, and he does believe machines can become conscious, that the machines can channel these, he calls them patterns. And, we'll see if he's right, but he's doing amazing work.
Have you seen where they've taken human brain tissue and they've taught it how to play Doom?
No, I haven't seen that. I know they make these organelles out of brain tissue now.
Yeah, they've taken human brain tissue somehow or another through some process and they'll play the video game Doom.
How does it?
800,000 human brain cells floating in a dish, never had a body, never seen light, never felt anything. They just learned how to play a video game. It's not a metaphor, that's literally what happened.
So what's their interface, though, with the world? Like, do they have thumbs? No.
Well, I guess it's really accurate, so I guess it doesn't need them. It's just using the brain cells to move whatever the cursor is on the video screen, that would be the hand, and pointing it at the targets and then executing the strike.
Wow.
So it knows how to use the game, and it knows the objectives of the game, obviously, because it knows to shoot the bad guys. It has an understanding of the weapons.
How does it get that knowledge? How is it programmed?
Also, does it switch weapons? the thing about Doom is you get multiple weapons, you have to run around and pick them up. So you're given one weapon, which is like the least powerful weapon, and the game is, when you're playing like deathmatch, the game is you're running around trying to grab as many weapons as you can and armor while your opponent is also running around this map. So you memorize the map. So there's a map that is like very confined corridors and these atriums and all these different places where you'll do battle. And so you run around. The key is surviving long enough while this person's chasing you so that you can gather enough armor and weapons. And someone with a really good understanding of the map tries to cut you off before you can get to the stuff so they can kill you before you accumulate enough armor and weapons. So I'm curious to know whether or not it's playing just with the pistol that you had at the very beginning or if it's accumulating weapons. Right, but will it be able to? That's what's interesting. Like if it can teach it to do that, if it understands the objective of these are the monsters that are coming at you, you have to shoot them.
So brain cells on a chip. So this is neuromorphic computing. The question I have about it is, how do you keep them alive?
Right.
You're putting them on a chip. Like, what do you feed them?
Right.
I mean, they have metabolic needs, right?
They did something similar with fruit flies. Right. It's different, but it's equally weird. The cells for the...
I believe it.
What is this? So, setup claims first full brain emulation of a fruit fly in a simulated body. Conducted a complete fruit fly brain emulation to a virtual body, producing multiple behaviors for the first time. The emulation covers over 125,000 neurons and 50 million synapses. What? Eon plans to emulate a mouse brain with 70 million neurons. Long-term goal is simulating a human brain. Oh boy.
But it's interesting, they're using neurons, right? They're not using transistors.
Right.
And neurons are like so far superior to transistors. One neuron can have 10,000 connections to other neurons, right? A transistor is 2 or 3 or 5 maybe at the most. A single neuron can do everything that a deep neural network can do in a computer. One neuron. So there's a level of complexity that we're not yet anywhere near. And that's why they're doing this using neurons rather than transistors.
Didn't they find neurons in the human heart?
There are neurons in the heart. There are neurons in the gut. There's a whole gut-brain axis. I'm working on something now about that, and a piece about that. But
that's a real problem with people with poor diets, right?
Yeah. I mean, people with poor diets don't eat enough plants basically, and their microbiome loses its diversity. But the microbiome is like another organ, even though it's full of other species, right? It's got like 10 trillion bacteria and fungi and stuff like that. And all of them are metabolizing and producing chemicals. It's like a little drug factory, hundreds of thousands of compounds. Many of those compounds affect your mood. Many of those compounds affect all sorts of things about you. So we're just learning about this connection. The vagus nerve seems to be what connects the brain to the gut and the heart. The vagus nerve is like all the organs are connected to the head by that nerve. So yeah, and the first neural system was in the gut. You have these simple animals that are just tubes, right, with bacteria, and the first kind of neural activity was about regulating digestion. Everything else comes later.
If plants are necessary for that function, what happens with people that are on the carnivore diet? Have you ever looked at any of that?
Yeah, I have. I mean, the microbes in your gut eat fiber, which is to say the walls of plant cells. If you only eat meat, if you're on a keto diet or something like that, you're essentially starving the microbes, and there's a cost to it. I don't think people pay nearly enough attention to that.
Well, how come many people that experience depression and anxiety find relief in that by a carnivore diet?
Yeah, but many people find relief, adding a lot of plants to their diet too. So I don't know if it's
Sure,
a placebo effect or what. I don't know that that's a true biological phenomenon. It may be.
Because some
People who change
people,
anything feel a lot better, right? If they take some step.
But I'm not talking about change. I'm talking about people that have been on it long term.
Yeah.
Like there's the people that are really in the carnivore diet community. There's examples of people that have been on it for 25, 30 years. They're really healthy.
Yeah.
It's odd. So
It is.
If you need plants.
Yeah. Well, you need plants to have a healthy microbiome. And a healthy microbiome, and the thing about it is that every different plant has a slightly different, feeds a different bug.
But is the only way to have a healthy microbiome? Have you ever looked into any of these people that are on?
No, I should as part of
It's fascinating because there's a lot of people that claim all sorts of benefits, relief from autoimmune issues, all sorts of different things that it fixes.
Because an unhealthy microbiome leads to autoimmune problems.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that the gut wall. So when the microbes don't have plants to eat, they start eating the mucus layer that covers that insulates your large intestine, and they're eating away essentially at you, and then you get leaky gut syndrome, and that's when bacteria can actually get into the bloodstream, cause a powerful immune reaction, and that inflames the whole body. So the reason you want a healthy microbiome is to keep that gut barrier healthy and get the benefit of these chemicals. Butyrate is a chemical that microbes produce that's really important for mood and a lot of things, and the body can't produce it. So it's kind of interesting. We're dependent on these other species that live within us.
We're in a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, we are. We're holobiont is the term for it. We go through evolution together with these 10 trillion microbes. It's really interesting. The newest research is the links between the microbiome and the mind, and most of the serotonin, the neurotransmitter serotonin, is produced in the gut, not in the which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And there are all these other compounds that are produced that influence our mood. And so, yeah, I should look at the keto. I'm just in the middle of researching this now.
Yeah, the keto's one thing, but the carnivore diet, these people are just eating only meat and eggs. That's all they eat. And there's a lot of really healthy people that are doing it. I kind of follow that, but I eat a lot of fermented food on top of that.
Well, fermented food is powerful benefit for the microbiome. There was a study done at Stanford a couple of years ago that they showed that people who ate fermented food, it reduced their inflammation significantly. Interestingly enough, it's not the bacteria in the fermented food, it's the metabolites, they're called. The bugs are producing acetic acid and butyrate and other acids and essential acids. And it's the fact you're getting those seems to be what's having the positive effect. But people who eat lots of fermented food benefit enormously, and maybe that's taking care of the problem if people on a carnivore diet are eating a lot of fermented food. That's the RFK Jr. diet too, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he does it that way, but I've been doing it that way. I love it anyway. I'm a kimchi freak. I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But what's interesting is that it controls your mood. That's what's interesting. So your microbiome has a massive impact on your mood.
And why? I mean, is it just an accident? Or some people think these microbes are manipulating you to get what they need. So they regulate your appetite too. And so it may be that they're inspiring you to eat certain things that they want.
That actually makes sense, because one of the more interesting things about a carnivore diet, and I've done pure carnivore for months at a time, is that you don't have the same hunger pangs. Not nearly. Not even close. The hunger that you get when you're on a high carbohydrate diet is like, you get hangry. You're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry, I have to eat right now. You never get that with a carnivore diet.
Probably because it's digested much more slowly.
I think there's a little bit of that, but it's also, you don't have the insulin spike.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's not this.
Have you ever worn a glucose meter?
No, I haven't.
So interesting. I was wearing one for 2 months. It'll just make you crazy.
That's the thing with all those wearables. You just start going over every aspect of your sleep. And
So you have some pasta and like, but if you take a walk right after,
right.
you can moderate it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot of exercise to use up that glucose and get the muscles to draw it in. So it's a very interesting experiment because it changes your behavior. In the same way, if you have a step counter, like you're more likely to park further away from the store to get another 100 steps. If you have a glucose meter, you're more likely to exercise after a meal, which is when it does the most benefit.
Well, in that sense, it's great because it does give you data that you can act on.
Yeah.
The problem is people get addicted to that data, and then it starts becoming a new video game they're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're constantly in this anxiety, worrying about your sleep and worrying about your this and your that.
Yeah. You also learn that, like, if you have fat with your carbs, it kind of blunts the effect.
Sure.
So,
Butter with bread.
Yeah, butter with bread or olive oil on pasta.
Yeah.
All those things. There's a reason for that. I love when culture figures stuff out before the scientists do. I remember that when I was writing about food a few years ago, this study came out and everybody was really excited that they discovered that lycopene, which is this really important antioxidant in tomatoes, can't be accessed by the body in the absence of fat. So, olive oil on tomatoes, what a great idea.
Wow.
The grandmas figured that out hundreds of years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so there's a lot of wisdom in cultural food preferences, combinations that we have, like buttering bread, and all these things. And how do people figure it out?
Have you seen the work they've done on nattokinase? I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. And its impact on arterial plaque?
No.
Hugely beneficial.
What is?
So it comes from fermented seaweed from natto. So this Japanese use of fermented seaweed. So in meals that they've isolated it into a supplement. And this supplement, nattokinase, they've shown that it reduces a massive amount of arterial plaque. So here it is, high dose nattokinase, particularly at 10